So is it my imagination, or has Facebook just turned into a digital photo album run by bigots? Why does Facebook stay in business? Have you ever asked yourself that? Because it's sort of weird at this point, isn't it? That Facebook is this gigantically successful, profitable business, and it's nothing but a digital photo album run by bigots. That doesn't even make any sense, does it? And you have to ask yourself, why is this happening? And the answer is kind of dark. I use that word intentionally. There's something very dark happening that allows Facebook even to be a business. And here are a few of the things. Number one, it is a psychological manipulation app. The point of Facebook, in terms of what it's doing to you, the user, is it's almost like farming. You know, it's almost like, you, the public who uses Facebook, are like the livestock, and they're giving you a little shot of this, growth hormones and stuff. So basically, you're just this experimental livestock, and Facebook feeds you all this psychological manipulation. And then they can measure how worked up you get about it. Oh, this one got somebody really angry. This is making them really angry. Let's promote that one. Now that we know this makes people angry, we'll put that in the front of the algorithm. So the first thing that's pure evil about Facebook is that it is a psychological manipulation business model. And by the way, I don't think anybody would argue with that characterization. There are people within the company who would agree with that. That's objectively, observably true, that psychological manipulation is the primary thing they do. But then there's the business model of selling advertising. You've probably heard that advertising doesn't work. Now, it does in some special cases, but for most people, it just sort of doesn't work. Now, I know that because I've advertised lots of stuff, different things, from books to restaurants to everything. And so I've seen Facebook ads being used a lot. I've never seen them work, not once. Now, do you think that the people who buy the ads know it doesn't work? Well, the people who buy the ads, at least the biggest ones, the ones that have the most money, the ones that matter the most, are not the people like me who would buy an ad and test it out, that sort of thing. We're talking about a big corporation who would make a big corporate buy. The way that's done is that there'd be an ad agency, and the ad agency makes money by getting a company to buy the biggest amount of advertising. Because the more advertising they buy, the more the agency can charge, because they're involved in a bigger deal. All right? So the ad agency has an incentive to lie and manipulate the corporate leaders who do the buys. Do they have the power and the technique and the persuasive ability? These are ad agencies, literally trained to psychologically manipulate people. That is their skill. They've learned that. They only get to work at a top ad agency because they have the skills to manipulate minds. And those people with those skills come in and sell their service to some Facebook person who's in charge of buying ads. And they say, this is the greatest stuff in the world. It'll make you a star. And by the way, you probably don't need to be told this, but Facebook employee, if you were in charge of a really big budget, you'd probably get paid more. You might get promoted for being somebody who was in charge of a big budget, and people would think that's important. So, Facebook employee that I'm selling the service to, you know that your career will be better the more you buy, because that's the bigger your budget. So I'm going to give you some bullshit that's not true and you don't believe it about how well advertisement will work. You're going to take that bullshit that you don't believe, but you're going to sell it to your boss, because if he buys the bullshit that's now went through 2 filters and he thinks this advertisement's going to work, or she thinks this advertisement is going to work, notice how inclusive I am, then your career will be better. So what's happening is you're seeing the advertisement, which basically doesn't work except in some specific cases. A specific case would be, for example, a new product that somebody didn't know existed, and they needed it. It's like, oh, I didn't know that existed. So in those limited cases, it can be useful. So that's their business model. It's basically people selling bullshit to people who want to believe it's true because that will be good for their career if they act like it's true. So there you go. That's Facebook. And now we know from there was another undercover video, this time again by James O'Keefe and Project Veritas. And once again, we're seeing that the people who manage the Facebook algorithms and others are literally racists. They're literally racists. And you hear it in their own words. They're not hiding it. Pretty much just hate white Trump supporters. All right. So that's a business that just doesn't need to exist.